Hello, traders. It is Wednesday, the 16th of October, 2019. It's 8:02 a.m. here in cold-ish Chicago. Certainly feeling the season. This is episode number 1618. Thanks for joining me. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, the overall market sentiment is relatively mixed-ish. There's a slight risk-off play following yesterday's rally in the indices, with the Russell being the weakest this morning. Russell's off 0.35, 0.35% or 5.3 points, followed by the Nasdaq. The S&P's down 6.5 points, and so on. Crude is almost unchanged, trading at 52.88, up 6 cents or 0.11%. Gold is up $11.50 this morning. So the overall sentiment here is a little bit on a risk-off side, um, and the overall, let me see, the overall volume in the S&Ps is okay, actually. 249,000 for the extended session. The theme for today, the main theme for today, there's optimism over Brexit fades over Northern Irish opposition. Talks said to be at an impasse. Hopes of an imminent Brexit deal fades on political hurdles. Um, German Germany could rethink its opposition to fiscal stimulus if economic situation worsens, and a U.S. House passes legislation taking hard line on China over Hong Kong, Huawei. China vows to retaliate, and that's causing the market to weaken a little bit after after this run up on the view that there will be some sort of a resolution. So the U.S. legislative branch um, and they believe that and it's believed that this is likely to cause an impasse here in the U.S. as well as in Brexit. So that's where we are. Hopefully, you can hear me nice and loud and clear. For today, the calendar's quite busy. There's just a huge amount of numbers that are coming out from Europe and so on, the key of which was the inflation rate from Great Britain. The consensus was for 1.8, got 1.7% inflation rate. Out of Canada, expected a 2.1%. Isn't it nice that everybody's around 2%? Convenient. 1.9% is what we got. Retail sales really bombed this morning, 0.3% versus negative 0.3%. That's the advanced retail sales figure. We have Fed's Evans speaking currently, and then we have a couple of low tier numbers coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern, 0.2% on business inventories, 68 on NAHB housing market index. Those both come out at 10. Then we have the Bundesbank's Weidemann and Moderer, the monthly budget statement from the US at 2, and Fed's Bernard at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tick flows at 4, and it's just on and on and on. Australia announces its unemployment rate this evening. So overall, just a lot of scheduled events, but nothing that seems to be really huge. Those are mainly behind us. Let's take a look at what we expected yesterday versus what we got here in our review session, in our review segment. Yesterday, the main expectation is for a push higher. So we were opening out of range inside of the range of Monday's trade. We do have a gap beneath us. So coming in, we had a gap remaining beneath us right here. and we were opening up in a gap higher. Now, the normal course of action, hang on. Now, a normal auction response is generally an open auction when we are gapping into a prior range. And in that, I expected some sort of reversion back, a little bit of a responsive selling spree into 29.74, where I looked for an impulse up and a generally a push up, a push up higher. Now, very very conservative with my estimation on the range on a pullback, but what we got is really a drive up. Here's what actually happened. We had an open that started out at 76.75. We pushed down for 5 ticks. It was not really an open auction. And then we immediately, well, it was an open auction for a very, very short period of time. And then we had this drive up. And this drive up, so you can see the open auction down here in the delta, very low participation on the open. And then we see aggressive buyers here, a higher time frame likely in play, and we could see that volume exceeded the 20-day mean, which is the black lines down here in this pane. These black lines are the 20-day mean for that particular 15-minute bracket. And we could see that there's quite a push here. This is acting like a drive. And of course, immediately back off the short side. Do not trade short. Not smart to trade short in that circumstance. So here it is. It's an open auction out of range as expected. There's no attempt lower at all. We only got 5 ticks before the push higher. And of course, I wasn't expecting as much power into it. We ended up going to 3002 and then basically balancing just underneath the millennial figure here. So overall, we had a normal variation day. Um, You can argue it's a trend day actually because of the way this action was. It did end up resting up here quite a bit, and we do have the point of control at the upper quartile. So this is actually a trend day kind of play, leaving us with some single prints at 29.92 and a quarter and 29.8150 on the market profile. And so relatively strong. We're back at the 3,000 figure, and we have generated another gap zone beneath us. Okay. Yesterday, in terms of pullbacks, once this strong move took place, it's not my kind of day because there are no clear pullbacks or pullbacks to reference areas that give me an advantage, or at least a clear and acceptable risk zone to lean against. And so I didn't participate in this push up at all. It's not my kind of trade, and I don't feel bad for not participating in it. So that's yesterday, taking us into our overnight. The overnight session, responsive, we start to push lower almost immediately in the Asian session, hold steady for a while, and then the Europeans come in and squeeze lower, put in a lower low, and then we have what we have overnight is a pretty good taper at the top, pretty good taper at the bottom, and a completely balanced profile coming into the session on pretty good volume. The volume's around 259,000, but the news did have an impact last night. We did have a drop right off the open following the congressional vote in the House, and this is what it looked like right here. So we ended up pushing lower, and then we had a little bit of a, well, what happened to the 730? 730 is right here, and then we were pushing back up, but the advanced retail sales caused a quick squeeze down. So as I zoom in, As I zoom in, you can see here coming into the 7th, this is Chicago time, 7:30. As I zoom in, you can see that the market responded quite a bit on a fair amount of volume to the advanced retail sales. To the negative side, we had a 1, 2, 3 wave move, pullback almost to the scene of the crime, which was 29.95, and we've been sideways ever since. The market um, did not like how that number shook out. So that's that's where we are so far. We do walk away from the overnight session seeing that we have a very quite a balanced profile, and um, we do have the trade currently sitting on top of yesterday's IB high, on top of the single prints, on top of the 2991 low volume node from the MC for September, from the microcomposite from September, on top of the overnight point of control, on top of the mid, on top of VWAP. So to me, this looks like balance on top of balance on top of balance. It is winding up. It is gaining steam or winding up here. It's really trading quite a bit in this area, and we'll see what happens on the open. But it's likely to be slow going as we open before an imbalance occurs. So take it easy on the open as always. In terms of what's expected for today. Let me find the current screen so we can look at what we've got. All right, here we go. In terms of what we're looking for today, the primary scenario, we are right in balance, is an open auction, is an open auction in range. Um, Oh, I expect some responsive buying back into the prior point of control. I expect this to squeeze through the overnight high. I'm looking for a response down, consolidation in the middle, and an attempt lower before it balances out. I'm not looking for too much range today. After yesterday, I'm looking for somewhat of a rest day, more balancy day. Probably what this is probably going to look like is one of those profiles that generates a double distribution for the day. I expect us to test the upper region, the upper point of control, or the upper high volume node against the 3000. I expect us to flutter around in there to form some more balance, to squeeze some more, and then to fall down and then find buyers that'll step in the region of this point of control back here, and supported by the MC high volume node in this area, as well as the composite high volume node. So this is what I'm looking for today. Now, you know, surprises can happen, tweets can happen, all these wonderful things can happen, but overall, that's what I'm expecting. The secondary is an open auction that has a downward skew that just walks itself back towards that 2981 area, consolidates, pushes back up, and then just holds steady and ends up filling the range in here, bringing us back to 2971 or so, and keeping us below the MCLVN. So it could be quite a balanced play into scenario 2 as well, with a downward skew. I'm going to keep my hands off the mouse for the first 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, watch it set up. You know, if there's a drive, I'm not going to be participating in that drive anyway. It just isn't my style. And then read what the market has to offer and just go from there. Okay, that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'll leave you with. Hopefully, you've gained something today. Good luck, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Take care.